thank you, Reba, for meeting with me today.
I'm so sorry. You're welcome, Brooke.
Okay. Okay, so the lesson that I came in to watch was a math lesson. How do you think it went today?
I think math went pretty well today. We were reviewing a concept before we take an exam this Friday, and so I was hoping that they would remember it a lot better than they did. I had to kind of pull back a little bit as I was teaching, and that messed me up. But other than that, I felt like it went pretty well.
Okay, what about the lesson did you feel like went well?
I think it was a good pacing, especially. And I also believe that even doing individual work, it was good to be able to work with students but not have to worry about the others. There was a little bit of like incessant chatter here and there, but in general, a lot of scholars were on task and like working, and I appreciated that.
Okay, so your lesson was on place value, and so what I observed was that you had different, two-digit numbers up on the board, and then you would call scholars up individually to come up, and they would have to choose based on the anchor chart that you provided, if it was greater than, less than, or equal to.
Right.
And so as I was observing you, I saw that in your modeling you did an excellent job of really emphasizing the place value. So for example, like when you had like say like a 71 and a 17, you would tell them, okay, everyone look at the tens place. Is the tens place the same? Yes or no? And how do we know this number is greater than or equal to?
Right.
I thought that was really, really, really good. I also thought that you did a really nice job of having the scholars explain their rationale when you got into the guided practice as to why they chose the sign that they did, and then also using rigorous terminology such as evaluate. Moving forward, I would like to start seeing you use the word equivalent.
Oh, okay.
Instead of equals.
Okay.
Or use them both intermittently.
Right.
So that way they understand that equivalent means the same as equal.
Yeah.
Okay. Something that I noticed though, after you did the I do, when you did the we do where the kids were coming up one at a time, is I felt like there was a little bit of a loss of rigor because you were very adamant about in the modeling talking about the place value, but then when the kids would come up, you would say, are these numbers the same? And you didn't have
tens place.
Yeah,
okay.
Yes, and you didn't have them repeat back with that same verbiage that you were using in your modeling.
Okay.
So the modeling was phenomenal, but then when they went up to do it, it was like the expectation wasn't as rigorous for them.
Okay.
They were still doing a good job, and they were still able to verbalize that, well, this number is bigger than this one, which I also like too that you told them not bigger, greater. And you said we're looking at value, not the size.
Yeah.
So I liked that too. But making sure that you have them explain utilizing place value as well.
Okay.
I think will make your instruction stronger.
Okay.
Okay. So another thing that I saw is when you went to the independent release. Prior to release, you had the paper up that they were going to work on, and you did a really good job because you had planned for pitfalls. So you were like, okay, everyone look at this paper. Now up here it says greater than, it says equal to, but remember, we're not just going to write the symbol straight down. This is for you to use as a reference. So that was really good. But something I'd recommend you do moving forward is I would upload, if you're able to, your actual PDF or your worksheet onto the smartboard and actually model maybe the first one or two problems up on the smartboard for all to see and point and go over it as it's on the smartboard.
Okay.
You did have it up here, but for kids that maybe can't see as well,
yeah,
and
you have to walk around. And...
I think that would make your instruction stronger.
Okay.
Okay, so really well. You do an excellent job with culturally relevant teaching strategies. Super, super impressed with the beats as you pass out papers and stuff like that. Tell me about like some of the stuff you do in that regard.
Well, I make them cheer for one another. I time the person that passes it out so it goes faster. They cheer for one another, but when we were using our verb, at first we were able to cheer and like all say the same thing and sound great, and then they just started like yelling and getting out of control. So that's a privilege I've taken back for now, and I just make them do beats. So that's something it's something that keeps them moving and stuff during the transition time, so they can go back into star as soon as we start working. I think I have a lot of call and response, a lot of repeating me, like especially with new vocabulary. Something that we do a lot, and we didn't do today, which I meant to open my lesson up with this, and it just fell on my head. But we actually do motions, so they all do like greater than, less than, equal to, and I make them do it when they explain. But again, something I didn't do today, it just kind of fell to the wayside. But when it comes to like the way I snap a lot as they talk, so they talk in a rhythm instead of just like chattering. With spelling, they actually come up with their own raps, and we rap our spelling words together to help like remember them, usually during transition times, or if we have like extra 5 minutes here or there, which we rarely do. But when we do, it's like, okay, let's everybody spell many, M-A-N-A-Y, many, M-A, let's do that. Just different things like that.
Have you looked to see if you could find a song for greater than, less than, equal to?
I actually haven't. We do songs for doubles and 1,000 other things, but we haven't done a song for greater than, less than.
Okay, so that's definitely something, if you wanted to, that you could go back and look and see.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's stuff up there.
The other thing I wanted to applaud you for is just, besides being culturally relevant, you have such a good like vibe in your room, and the kids are so supportive of each other. I was very, very impressed as they came up to present, that they'd applaud for one another, and they're just you could tell that there's a lot of love and support in your room. Okay, so if in hindsight, based on this feedback, you could do anything over, what do you think you would do next time?
Other than the things that you said that you would definitely change, or as well as?
Both.
And
then after that, I want to tell you what I'd like you to work on, but just based on what we've discussed so far.
Definitely having the worksheet or whatever they're working on in front of them on the smartboard, doing that. I see how that would help, because when we do that, it just, everything seems to click so much more with them. So I would definitely change that. I'd probably, it would incorporate the gestures, or probably would find some kind of song or something, maybe that would start the lesson off, like an attention grabber kind of thing, and then we can move into the I do. I would make sure that when they explain, they're using the place value, the terms place value, and they're really emphasizing that just as much as.
And do you understand why we're using place value? Because I know, like, when I taught first grade a long time ago, that there wasn't as much emphasis on all this conceptual thinking. And even for me now as an administrator, it makes so much sense to me now why we do this. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is what it means to regroup a 10, or this really is why, because the value is in this spot. Like, does it make sense to you conceptually why we're doing this for the kids?
Yeah, well, the reason I actually do that is that's never been in like a lesson or anything, but I do it because when it comes to 71 and 17, they get confused, like, oh, it's equal. Like, so that's like something I'm really emphasizing, because we know place value. We do it in calendar math. We do it in our last unit in math. Like, they understand place value. So that's why, like, I reiterate it, because it just makes sense. And it makes it, like, it's just a way to figure it out without guessing or without having to count all the way to 71.
Well, and the other thing you could do if you had any kind of struggling scholars is you could always also either pull out base 10 blocks, or you could draw, like, the sticks and circles or whatever.
Yeah, I would say six and ones.
Yeah, so that they could actually see a visual, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
So the thing that I want you to work on is whole class checks for understanding. Your lesson was good, but as your scholars were coming up during the guided practice, and you had the one come up at a time, I was concerned, because I'm thinking, okay, how do you know that all of these other kids are understanding? Now, at one point, your kids started using our nonverbal gestures, and I remember you saying, oh, that's really good. I didn't ask you to do that, but you're doing that. But you needed to have something like that in place beforehand to see and to gauge if your whole class was understanding. And as we just talked, you'd mentioned previously that you're reviewing for an exam and you felt like they didn't understand maybe as much as they could have. But how do you even really know what they understood if you weren't embedding that many whole class checks for understanding?
Right.
So what I want to do is, don't laugh at me. I'm really excited because I was looking today, because I know, like, we'll go over the basic ones, which you probably already know. But I found a bunch of whole checks for understanding on, it's actually on an Engage New York site.
Oh.
And they're awesome, so I can't wait to show you. So I'm going to go over first just the basic ones that you probably already know, or that you've learned in TFA or whatever.
Okay.
So to me, my favorite check for understanding in math is whiteboards.
Yeah, which we have. I mean, you have the whiteboard rules. It's usually, and it also helps the lesson go by so much faster. At least it makes it feel the kids feel like it's
well,
going
because they're engaged
because they're
in the
writing, and
learning.
then I do a countdown of like, okay, erasure boards 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, reveal 5, 4, 3, 2, and it's just like that constant going. Which I thought about doing it for this, but I was concerned that it wasn't. I was concerned about who would finish first, because I know I have scholars that would finish like right away, and some scholars that need time to think and need time to draw, and so I was a little concerned with and the scholars who finish really first are also the scholars who are a lot more talkative.
Well, in that instance, you'd probably want to have some type of alternate activity just at their desk. So if they finish first, maybe they have a little ring of flashcards, or they have something else so that they're not sitting idle while they're waiting. But that could be something you could do. Whiteboards, I think, are just great because they're you just flip them, and then you can go, you got it. Oh, he does not get it. It's quick and dirty. I like those the best. Other checks for understanding, you could do thumbs up, thumbs down. I try to stay away from that because
even if they don't understand
because with a whiteboard, I mean, everyone has their own answer. Thumbs up, thumbs down. It's very easy to just look over at your neighbor and see what they have. But that's one you could do. Another one is fist of 5. Have you ever?
Yeah, we do that. Well, I only do fist 3, 5.
Okay.
Because the 1s and the 2, like, that kind of confuses them.
Okay.
So it's either you don't understand it, you kind of understand it, but you want more practice, or you're ready to go.
Okay. So those are other ones. But I wanted to. Oh, and then the thumb cards, which I think that RTI lady taught us. And
yeah, I do have notes on it.
And I was thinking you could totally do that one. You could totally do that. Have the greater than, less than, equal to, and then maybe I don't know. You could just have those 3.
Blank.
Yeah, and then they have to put their little, the finger pinch where the answer is, and
Yeah.
that'd be a quick way for you to check for understanding too.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so I want to share with you some new ones I found, and I'm excited. Sorry,
It's okay.
so
I'm
happy.
just gonna re-put this in the exact same.
Okay. So,
Sorry, these are.
do you have OCD like me? Okay. The first one is called Go Round.
Okay.
So it's just a 1 or 2 word answer that shows understanding in rapid succession.
Okay.
So on the count of 3, or we're gonna go around and everyone's gonna tell me if it's greater than or equal to go. Reba.
Greater than.
And it just
Right.
go bip bip bip
That
bip
makes
bip.
sense.
Okay,
Okay.
so that's 1. Hot seat is kind of like a musical chairs. So you place probing questions or whatever you want to find out on random seats throughout the room. And when prompted, students check their seats and then they answer the questions. Students who do not have a hot seat question are asked to agree or disagree with the response and then explain their thinking.
I love that.
Yeah, that looks so
Especially
fun.
for like science vocabulary and stuff. That's fantastic.
I'm just so excited because I use the basic checks for understanding, and when I found these, I'm like, oh, some of these are so cool. Okay, so you've done fist of 5, glass, bugs, and mud. Okay, so this is more if something is clear, are you understanding or not?
Okay.
If it's clear, they say glass, they totally get it. If it's a little confusing, they say bugs, and if it's just I don't get it, mud, I'm gonna chill, don't see it. Okay. And then we have red light, green light.
I tried those in the beginning of the year. I have these smiley faces.
Are they on the rings or whatever?
They're not on a ring. They just have, they're all smiley faces. One's red, one's yellow, and one's green.
Are they the cards you hold up?
Yeah, I had them, and each student had them, and they would hold up cards. But it was, especially for Daniel and some other kids, it was
too
just
distracting.
Too distracting to have anything on their desk that
Okay.
wasn't. That's the only reason I stopped using those.
Okay, and it might, again, maybe it's not a fit for every kid, but if it's for the majority, you could still use them.
That's true.
A teacher that I observed last year at Collegiate did that, but he did it with colored cups. And so he had a green, yellow, red. And
what was that at?
You might have been
institution.
Yeah,
Did someone say it?
and he'll switch it up, and so they put whatever color
they're around at that moment.
and that
Yeah,
works
I
really
liked it a
well
lot.
too. Okay, table tags are just if you have 3 different colors, and then they put up the tag. Learning lineups and human bar graphs. So this would be again to see if they're understanding, if they're confused, and then they would line up based on that. 4 corners. So you could play 3 corners.
I did that in student teaching.
And that would be really fun. I think the 3 corners one, and then the hot potato one would be good because you have a very active class.
Yes.
And I think that, but you know what I mean?
I think
they would really like it
too.
too.
So many of these I'm just that's perfect, except Daniel would have to sit out. but not sit out, but he'd probably